Buenos días. Soy yo, el señor Morris. ¿Cómo están ustedes? As you can see, hoy estoy frente a una casa. Es una casa. Now I just ask you, ¿cómo están ustedes? But you remember we've talked about some other questions this year. Do you remember them? We talked about ¿cómo estás? And you can say estoy bien, estoy más o menos, estoy mal. We also talked about the question ¿cómo te llamas? Do you remember that one? If someone asks you, ¿cómo te llamas? You answer them by saying, me llamo Roberto Morris. Only you say what your name is. I also ask you, ¿cuántos años tienes? ¿Cuántos años tienes? And you had to count up and answer the question by saying, tengo, and you might have 10 años, 11 años. Yeah. And then we also talked about the question, ¿dónde vives? ¿Dónde vives? And we talked about that earlier in the year, and we've also been talking about it in this unit. That brings us up to today. And today, we're going to review following directions like we were talking about last time. We're going to learn about the cardinal directions and learn still another way to answer that question, ¿dónde vives? Pero primero, vamos a cantar nuestra canción de saludos. Canten conmigo. Hola, hola, buenos días, bienvenidos, ¿cómo están? Todos juntos ya estamos listos para aprender. Muy bien cantado. Bueno, pues primero, I wanted to ask you about something that we talked about last time. We talked about derecha and izquierda. Okay. Esta, and I'm going to turn around so you can see. Esta es la derecha o es la izquierda? Raise up this hand. Es la derecha. Es la derecha. Si esta es la derecha, ¿esta cuál es? Es la mano izquierda. Derecha, izquierda. Okay. I hope you can remember those because we're going to be using those. Now, I just wanted to see if you remembered that, but now let's move on to something else. How many of you know what this is? Do you recognize that? Well, this is called a compass rose. A compass rose. And on a compass rose, we have the different directions that we talk about. Okay, do you know them in English? Do you know them in English? Which direction is this one up here? Going up this way. It's north. North. How about going over in this direction? Raise your hand and tell your teacher if you think you know. East. Okay. Opposite of north going this direction. North, east. How about this? South. And there's one more, but it doesn't start with the letter O in English. What is it in English? West. Muy bien. Pues en español son cognados. They're cognates. The first one is norte. And you might want to jot these down in your Spanish notebooks so that you'll have these. Norte is north. So that one's pretty easy to recognize and remember, isn't it? So is this one. Este. Este. Go ahead and jot this down. Este is what we call in English east. And you can see they're spelled pretty much the same, aren't they? Down here in this direction, we said this was south in English. Y en español, sur. Sur. Go ahead and get these written down into your notebooks, okay? Sur is south. Got that? Then there's one more over here. Now, in English, this was west. And that starts with a W. You notice that this starts with an O. Okay? En español es oeste. Oeste. And if you listen real carefully, you start off with the sound of the O, but then it sounds like you have the W sound in there too. Oeste. Oeste. Go ahead and get that written down in your notebooks, okay? Now get all those down because we'll be using those directions today when we do our activity sheet. Okay, so don't just forget them. Okay. Now, before we do our activity sheet, I told you that we were going to learn another way to answer the question, ¿Dónde vives? ¿Dónde vives? And we talking about in a house or an apartment. We talked about, you could say if you lived in a city, a town, or out in the country. Well, if someone asked me, ¿Dónde vives? I could answer by saying, mi dirección es 123 calle Main. You get that? Mi dirección. Then what word does that look like? Mi dirección. What word does that look like? Looks like the word direction, doesn't it? Yeah. Well, in this case, it means address. And that kind of makes sense. Direct someone to your house, give them the directions to your house, your address. Okay. Well, this is a good way to practice your numbers as well as some of the vocabulary that we're learning. And you can practice right now with your classmates. Everybody get a partner. Everybody get a partner. Okay? Now you decide who will go first. And teachers, maybe in your class, you can choose who will go first. Now, I want one of you to ask the other. Okay, so first person, you ask, ¿Dónde vives? Let's try it again. ¿Dónde vives? Okay, now the second person can answer. Mi dirección es, and fill in the blank with your address. Go ahead and say that. Mi dirección es, tell them your address. Okay, good. Try to say those numbers in Spanish. Okay, try to say the numbers in Spanish when you do that. Do it. Now reverse it. And the second person can ask the question first, okay? So, second person, you ask them, ¿Dónde vives? Go ahead and say it again. ¿Dónde vives? Okay, now the other person you can answer. Mi dirección es, and fill in the blank with your address. Okay, very good. Well, I tell you what, let's go over that one more time with this video, ¿Dónde vives? Presten atención y repitan todos. ¿Dónde vives? ¿Dónde vives?
Vivo en un pueblo. ¿Dónde vives?
Vivo en una ciudad.
¿Dónde vives?
Vivo en el campo.
¿Dónde vives? Vivo en un apartamento. ¿Dónde vives?
Vivo en una casa.
¿Dónde vives?
Vivo en un edificio de apartamentos grande. ¿Dónde vives?
Vivo en un edificio de apartamentos pequeño.
¿Dónde vives?
Vivo en una casa grande. ¿Dónde vives?
Vivo en una casa pequeña.
Mi dirección es calle Main, 23, apartamento 8.
Mi dirección es calle González, 17, apartamento 5.
Mi dirección es calle Cano, 14.
Mi dirección es calle Smith, 30.
Wow, does it seem like there are a lot of ways to answer that question, ¿Dónde vives? Well, there are, and it's just the same in English. There are a lot of different things that you can tell someone when they ask you where you live. So we're just kind of doing the same thing that we do in English, only in a different language. I tell you what, let's go ahead and go over our directions again with the activity sheet called El Mapa del Pueblo that we used in our last lesson. And this is from lesson 4 in our that we used last lesson. And I tell you what, first of all, I'd like for you to fill in the cardinal points on this map. And you can see that these were on the map last time. We just didn't do anything with them. Let's go ahead and fill those in now. Up here we have Norte. Over here we have Este. Down here is Sur. And over in this direction is Oeste. There. Now, when I give you some directions, my spaceship can follow them by using the cardinal directions. Tell you what. Empieza en la biblioteca. So go ahead and find la biblioteca. Empieza en la biblioteca. Dobla hacia el norte. Dobla hacia el norte. Aquí está el norte. Sigue hasta la segunda esquina. Okay, let's look at. Aquí está la primera esquina, la segunda esquina. Dobla hacia el oeste. Aquí está el oeste. Dobla hacia el oeste. ¿Qué servicio comunitario está hacia el norte? ¿Qué servicio comunitario está hacia el norte? If we look right up there, we can see that we have arrived at el hospital. El hospital. Okay. Sometimes that makes it a little bit easier because when we were talking about derecha and izquierda, sometimes that was confusing because it depended on which way you were facing. But norte, sur, este, oeste, those are always the same. Well, I tell you what, we still have a little bit of time left, and I thought now would be a good time for everybody to get a little exercise by doing some TPR. So teachers, get your classes arranged so that the students can follow along with this TPR. Ahora, presten atención y participen todos. All right. I think we're all ready to get started again with our TPR. Let's go ahead and start with some review of some of the things that you guys should already know. Okay, you guys ready? Toquen el piso. Ah, okay. Toquen la silla. Oh, yeah, okay. Canten. La 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 la. Okay, basta. Oh, Joseph, you sing so well. Okay, how about this one? Do you remember this one? Lloren. Oh no, it's so tragic. Ya basta. And last time, we talked about this one. Ríense. Basta. Okay. Now, let me see. Párense. Siéntense en el piso. en el piso. Okay. Párense. Okay. Siéntense en las sillas. Okay. Párense. You remember this one? Brinquen. Oh, okay, yeah. Okay, basta. Okay. Ahora, you guys ready for this one? Brinquen a la mesa. No, escuchen. Brinquen a la mesa. Siéntense en la mesa y canten. Dale. Now remember, if your teacher doesn't want you to sit on the table, don't sit on the table. Canten, canten. You guys are doing a great job. We're going to be doing this again later, so you don't forget any of these things. Good job. Yeah, sometimes it has a tendency to get a little bit carried away, but that's okay. That's when learning happens. For our activity sheet today, we have a sheet called El Código Secreto Número 2. And this is like the one we did last class. Okay. Go ahead and write your names up at the top. Voy a escribir mi nombre, Roberto, y mi apellido, Morris. Es mi apellido. Okay. Now again, use the key to decipher the vocabulary words from today's lesson. And we're going to do these. I'm going to go ahead and do this one. It starts off with the triangle pointing towards the oeste. Yeah, it's hollow. That's going to be the letter S. Now I've got the arrow that's hollow pointing up. That's going to be U. And then the arrow pointing, the hollow triangle pointing towards the este. Let's see what, here it is. Ere. Sur. Sur. Well, let's see what that is in English. Here's that arrow pointing over that way, S. Here's the filled-in diamond. Let's see, where's that? O. Hollow arrow pointing up. U. I think I'm figuring this one out. The infinity sign. That's going to be T. And the filled-in triangle pointing up is going to be the letter H. Here it is, south. Sur is south. I'm going to let you guys go ahead and finish that up. I'd like to point out to you that down at the bottom we have an extension activity. It says, try writing your Spanish name in code or write a message to your friend in code. So you can use this code. Try writing your name. Try writing a message to somebody and see if you can use it for that. Okay? Muy bien. Today, we reviewed what we've been talking about so far in the unit, and we added the cardinal directions. And another way to answer the question, ¿Dónde vives? Now, next class, we'll begin looking at the names of some means of transportation in Spanish. Pero saben que ya es hora de despedirnos. For our goodbye song today, I'd like to sing one of my favorites. It's called La Cucaracha. Canten conmigo. Todas las muchachas tienen en los ojos dos estrellas, pero las mexicanitas de seguro son más bellas. La cucaracha, ya no quiere caminar, porque no tiene, porque le falta dinero para gastar. Muy bien. Until next class, adiós y hasta luego. La cucaracha.